Hi, I'm Chris Wise with Wise About Flower Mound, and I'm here with LauraAnne Madl, and we are going to talk insurance. So, woohoo! Isn't that exciting? That thing that you know you need to get, or maybe you're required to get, but it ain't sexy at all. So she's going to help us get through that. So, tell me, when did you get into this?
A little over 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
I'm a former classround teacher. I taught for 13 years.
Great.
And why did I leave teaching? Anyway, when I decided to leave teaching, I wanted a way to still help people and find a way to give back to the community and something that gave me some more job flexibility than I had as a teacher.
Yeah.
And I love this career because it does all of that. I get to do all of those things.
Well, that's great. I was going to say, teachers make great realtors too. They do. Teachers and nurses, because they're used to dealing with a lot of different people, dealing with people who are upset, maybe in pain, those kind of things. And so it's interesting. So insurance would be the other thing.
Yeah.
So
well, 85-90% of my job is really just education. Insurance is complicated. I want my clients to understand enough that they know what we're talking about, but they don't need to know every little bitty fine detail, because that's my job and it's boring, and let me handle that. But let me help you know what you're getting. Yeah. And so there's
make a decision, an informed decision.
Right. And so there's this huge education piece. Okay, well, you've got this quote from this company and this quote from this company. Let's compare them, because that price, you're not comparing the same shopping cart here. Exactly. So education is still a huge part of what I do, just in a different way.
Yeah, definitely. And my job too is very much like that. And we can all look at contracts, but really it's the nuances of that, and where are the pitfalls? So,
exactly.
Okay, so you're choosing not to have this coverage, but what could happen?
Exactly.
And what are the chances of that happening?
Right.
A slab leak. Crazy stuff like that.
Yes, slab leak, slow leak.
Yes, all of that fun stuff. And I think that is something, at least what I have found when I've talked to other insurance people, is there's so many different nuances that it really is, you need an expert to guide you through that, to make sure that you do understand that. Right,
exactly. Well, and I can't tell you how many people I've talked to who they went online to buy an insurance policy before, and then they talk to me, and I'm like, did you realize that you did this, and that it doesn't have this, and that you did? No, I thought it was all the same. Right. It's not the same. Yes. Whether you use me or another insurance agent, talk to an insurance professional, because you really do need some guidance and someone to find those things that you're just not going to see, and you're not going to know, and you're not going to realize.
It's your blind spots. Right. And that's why you hire a professional, is to point out those blind spots.
Right. Well, and it doesn't cost anything to hire me. Like, you just, the insurance company takes care of that part. My services are free.
Right. So. Right. And that, that is, and everybody's trying to save a buck, and I get that. And so, and it might be that it's 11:30 at night that they're like, oh crap, I've got to get that done. And so then they go online, because they're not going to call you. I understand that.
But I give my people my cell phone so they can if they really need to.
Yeah. So that comes with the customer service piece of this, is just to make sure that you're there for them.
Right.
Whatever they need.
My day started with a claims call at 7:15 this morning on my cell phone.
Okay.
One of my clients got in a car wreck this morning. What do I do? All right. Okay. First of all, are you okay? Yep. Take a breath. Yep. All right, now let's get claims on the line, and we'll get you taken care of. And everybody was okay. We got it taken care of. But it's just
life happens.
Life happens.
Yes.
Life happens.
A lot of life happens. So thinking about, gosh, all the claims and stuff from the storm.
Gosh.
Wow.
Those 2 weeks after that crazy snow paka, whatever on earth that was, like, the phones just did not stop ringing. And they weren't fun calls. They weren't, hey, I need to get a new insurance policy. No, it was, my ceiling just caved in and I have 2 feet of water in my house. Like, they were awful. And in a typical year, we might see 120 total busted pipe claims in the entire state of Texas. Yeah. Maybe more than that, but not really a lot. Yeah, we had like 120,000 in the first 5 days.
Oh my gosh.
Not me specifically, but the company as a whole. And it's just it was heartbreaking for so many reasons. And we had a pipe leak at my house. Luckily it was minor enough, and we were home, and it wasn't like the location where it was. We were able to get it shut off and cleaned up pretty quickly without
Right.
major damage. But
Yeah.
that wasn't the case for a lot of people. And
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, I had clients who were out of the country.
Oh.
And their neighbors said, I think you got a problem.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It just flooded everything. They had to come back. It was just,
It was a mess. It's been a mess. And I still have people who are not back in their homes. They're almost there. We're getting there.
We're so close.
We're so close. But it was just such major, massive damage that it wasn't a complete tear down, but it kind of felt like it.
Right.
And it takes time. And building materials got real scarce. And
it was just a perfect storm.
Yes, labor got real scarce. It was just exactly that, the perfect storm.
Yeah, I was trying to get just a plumber out to one of my houses, and they were like a month out. I'm like, okay, well, we're closing in 2 weeks. I've got to have this, whatever it was, fixed. And
it was awful.
Crazy,
awful.
Crazy. So what's the sexy part about insurance? Because I don't know about you, but I'm thinking insurance is kind of boring.
It's really not. But what I said earlier, what I really love about my job and what the part that makes me happy is helping people. Whether it's I keep banging my watch on the table. Whether it's saving somebody money, that's always good.
Yeah.
I always want to do that if we can. Or putting someone in a better position than they were before. Maybe I can't save you money, but maybe for $100 more a year, I can double your coverage.
Right.
Or get you better coverage.
Yeah.
Or, hey, did you realize? Or we can lower your deductible. And so it's not sexy, but it's very fulfilling. And just being able to sit down and consult with people and build these relationships, kind of like real estate. It shouldn't be transactional. If it's one and done, quick, fast, easy, your agent did not do a good job.
Yeah.
And I mean, you don't need to know every detail about my life ever, but at the same time, I want to get to know my clients as a person. I want them to get to know me so that they feel comfortable talking to me. And the more I talk to people, the more they say, well, there's this too, and oh, there's this, and oh, there's that. And I'm like, I'm glad you told me that. We need to make sure we account for that on this policy.
Right.
Whereas if we hadn't built the relationship and gotten to know each other a little bit first, we would have, like a client earlier this week, I sat with her for about 2.5 hours and we talked about home and auto and her rental properties and life insurance and all of the things. And finally, like I thought we were done. In like the last 30 minutes, she goes, well, and we have this 12,000 square foot warehouse on our property. And I went, oh, I need you to tell me more.
Yes.
And it turns out it's their, they do restoration and gutting older homes and refurbishing, that type of thing. It's their warehouse where they keep all of their supplies.
Yes.
Like, when we went through the home coverages, I asked about other structures.
Right.
Okay, let's go back. Let's go back to that home policy. Let's talk about a business policy.
There's not a lawnmower and a weed eater sitting in there. That's a lot more. Oh my goodness.
So it's, just tell me all the things so I can make sure that we cover all of the things.
Yeah, because the last thing you want to have is something happens.
Right.
And then, oh, I didn't know about that.
Well, and that's exactly what insurance is. There are people who get frustrated with insurance. I've paid for 20 years and never filed a claim. Good. I'm really glad you have really great rates if that's the case. But that one time you need to file a claim and it's real bad, you're going to be real grateful that you have
something.
That you have something. I've got a friend in Highland Village who her house burned down a year and a half ago.
Oh my gosh.
In January 2020, her house burned down. And it, walking with her through the claims process and it was as smooth as it possibly could be.
Right.
But with anything building related, it's never, ever, ever smooth.
Yeah.
And conversation after conversation, I'm just so grateful we had this coverage. I'm so grateful this was here. It's taken a little longer than I would like, but at least they're taking care of us. And the claims adjuster was very communicative. And I'm not a claims adjuster. I'm sales and service. I'm the agent. But if you've got a claim, I'm your advocate and helping you work through it and communicating with the adjuster. Hey, I haven't heard from the adjuster. All right, I'm on it. I'll make sure we get them on the phone today.
Yeah.
So it's not sometimes it's not fun, but it's still very fulfilling because it's so important. And it's
and you're only as good as your agent. I mean, I'm the coverage too, but it's very much like real estate. Is the transaction goes a certain way and all of that. It's those nuances and it's that expert advice to really get you through. So either it's on the upfront, looking for what coverage you need and asking the right questions. And then during the time of a claim, how do you make sure that you're not overlooking something that could be claimed? I hate to say called maximizing the claim, but really just making sure that what you've been paying for all these years, you get the benefit when you needed it the most.
Right. And I tell my clients that, okay, you got to file a roof claim. We had a hailstorm, you've got a hole in your roof. Is there anything else that was damaged? Let's look at the gutters, let's look at the siding. Hey, let's look at your AC units.
Yes.
That was me last year. We had to replace our AC units and the roof because of hail damage to the fans inside the AC units.
Yes.
And that's something that it doesn't need to be covered on every roof claim.
Right. But
if you have a bad enough hailstorm, it might, so it's, looking for things like that and helping people figure out what we need to do as course of action.
Exactly.
So,
wow.
And I say that I ended up in insurance, for lots of reasons, but because I've had to file every kind of claim you can imagine.
Oh, no.
People will say, what's this coverage for? I'm like, let me tell you a story. Let me tell you why that one's important. So,
you learned it through adversity.
Yes. From my days when I wasn't an insurance agent, I got to live through all of these things. And now that I am an insurance agent, it's like, well, let me tell you why that's important.
Yeah.
So,
because once again, we don't know what we don't know.
Exactly.
And that's why you got to have an expert who understands that and can guide you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because without that, I mean, where they say a blind squirrel gets a nut every now and then.
Every once in a while.
Yes.
Right.
So, yes, but what are you missing? What are your blind spots? And
Absolutely.
truly having that expert advice is there to help you and to make sure that you don't make, penny wise, pound foolish kind of thing. Oh, but I saved $50. Yes, but you just tripled your deductible.
Exactly. And I have seen
sure
that.
You want to do that?
I have seen that.
Yeah.
So, we don't want to do that. But and home and auto, and I do life insurance as well. So it's kind of just looking at that whole picture and what is important to you. What do we need to cover? What are the people and things that you want to be taken care of? And just looking at it holistically from the whole picture.
Yeah.
And not just,
Right. Exactly.
People say, I just need auto insurance. I just need to talk about my car. I'm like, okay.
We'll start with that.
We'll start there. But we're gonna have some later conversations because I want to make sure that you're taken care of, and you're and I think that's just one thing about I keep saying the same thing. I just want to take care of my people. I just want to make sure they're taken care of.
Well, you take ownership on that aspect of their life. I mean, in the same way.
Maybe it's the former teacher in me. Maybe it's the mom in me.
Right. It's all of that. I think.
Let me take care of you.
Exactly. And I approach my business the same way.
Yes, you do.
I want to protect you maybe from a weak agent. I want to protect you from yourself sometimes. Protect you from unscrupulous buyers. I mean, there's all kinds of things, landmines that you don't know are there.
You sure you don't want to get an inspection? Let's get an inspection.
Why don't we at least, yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. And this market has been just nuts in what we're seeing.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And every day my husband's like, we should sell our house.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we talk about that at the Wise House.
Like, we'll make so much money. And I'm going, and what would we buy?
Yes,
like, we would have to go 70 miles out.
Yes.
No, we're not.
Yes.
We can't go anywhere. I've got kids at, my oldest daughter is a junior at Marcus.
Oh, okay.
And then my son is in 7th grade at Lamar.
Yeah.
And my youngest daughter is in 4th grade at Prairie Trail.
Okay.
And I'm going, we're not moving our kids. Like, we're not going anywhere. We need to stay put.
Just stay put. And that, I joke, I mean, we've almost had a for sale sign in our front yard a couple of times. But then, and I mean, I'm, living it every day.
I bet you are.
But realizing that, okay, so what are we giving up and what would we get?
Yes.
And where would we need to go to get that?
Yeah.
And still make a financial, to have it to be positive. Because basically right now in this market, I've told my sellers, whatever premium you get, you're going to hand it over to the seller of the house that you're buying. So just, you might go, oh, this is so great, but it's going right over to the next person. So it's only for a short period. Yeah. So once again, educating our clients, making sure that they make good choices given the information, and ultimately, and you probably feel the same way as I do, ultimately it's their choice. I mean, I've told people, I wouldn't do this, but if you want to, I'm here to tell you that if it were me, I would not do that. And here's the reasons why.
Right.
But ultimately, it's your choice. If you want to pay $100,000 over on this house, it's your money. Here's all the pitfalls that could happen.
Right.
And don't come to me and sell it in 2 years. Because we may be in a very different market.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
No, well, and my badge says Liberty Mutual, and that's my parent company. But Liberty has this partnership with all these other carriers. I often say that insurance is not one size fits all. It is not a mumu. It is a tailored dress. We need to make sure that it is customized and tailored specifically for you and your individual situation. And so this partnership that we have with all these other carriers allows me to do that. So if Liberty isn't a good fit for whatever reason, okay, let me present you with some other options that, maybe this one's better on price, a little bit of coverage, but still good coverage. Maybe this one does have better coverage, and so it really allows me to educate my people and present them with options and say, here are your choices.
And here's the reasons, here's the benefits, here's the costs, here's all of that.
Yeah.
You pick.
Exactly. And
I love it when they say, what would you pick? It's not for me.
It's not my choice.
I'm not living in this house.
My
I'm
priorities.
not living with this insurance.
My priorities are might be different than somebody else's.
Exactly. And I think it takes a good agent to be able to let them know that, and ultimately still have it be their choice, because it should be. Because if it's your choice, guess what? That thing that they decided that they didn't need because you said, well, rarely does that happen. It's going to happen to them.
Right, exactly.
And you're going to get the call.
There are times, it doesn't happen often, but every once in a while, I have to tell someone, what I can offer you is excellent, but you're in a really good spot. And you need to stay put. And maybe let's look at this again in 6 months or a year.
And see if things change.
But that policy you have is pretty comprehensive, and you've got it at a pretty fair price. And,
why change?
You need to stay put.
Yeah.
Or maybe they've got a claim, but they had accident forgiveness on that policy that they have, so their rate's still pretty stinking good.
Right.
Moving right now
is
not going to be the best choice, because they're going to get dinged for that claim when they switch. So wait a few years till the claim falls off or whatever.
Right.
But that's, once again, sometimes the best thing I can do is say, call me next year.
Exactly.
And it's always about putting my people in the best position that I possibly can.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. Well, good. Well, thank you so much for today.
Of course.
I appreciate this. It is so neat to get to interview business owners, especially women business owners. I'm not to be a sexist or anything, but it's so neat to see people who have taken, maybe a passion or something and turned it into a business, and your passion was helping people. And you did it as a teacher, and now you're doing it as an insurance agent.
Absolutely.
So that's exciting. So probably don't have to wipe as many snotty noses as a...
Or tie shoes. Yeah.
We love our teachers. We love our teachers.
We do.
I mean, very much so.
Absolutely. And I mean, I was a teacher for a long time, and I loved a lot of it for a long time. But it was time for something different. It was time. It was time.
Yeah.
It was time.
Yeah.
And so I feel really blessed to have found this career and partner with this company and all the companies that we work with. And just, I feel like I hit the jackpot.
Yeah.
I feel like I hit the jackpot.
Well, that's great.
So
that is great.
Anyway.
Well, thank you, LauraAnne. I appreciate this.
Well, thank you, Chris. I appreciate the opportunity.
So if you need insurance, definitely check out LauraAnne Madl, and she'll be able to talk with you and give you all kinds of options. And I think you will agree that she is somebody who's going to look at everything to make sure that you are protected in every place that you need to be protected. So thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm Chris Wise with Wise About Flower Mound. We will see you next time. Thanks so much.